Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Falling Skies Fan Podcast. It's brought to you by Tiger Prince Entertainment, TPEnetwork.com. I'm your host, Hank Davis, and my co-host, as always, via Skype, Alex Cruz. How the heck are you, my friend?
Hey, I'm staying cool in this epic heat.
You are cool, man. You're a pretty cool dude.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Fonzie's got nothing on this guy.
Exactly. Not nothing at all, except for a leather jacket. You don't have one, I don't think. But Alex, ratings?
All right, ratings. Is everybody ready? Okay, we are at a 3.32 million.
Oh, wow.
Viewership, and this is this information I got from TV by the Numbers.
Okay. So that is that just a little bit up or down from the last episode? Do you remember? Because I posted the one about the prior episode. I had to post it because it wasn't up yet.
Right.
But I thought it was pretty good.
So
I thought it was pretty good numbers.
late.
I thought the numbers were pretty good on that episode.
Yeah, I did look at that episode, and they were.
And I just can't remember. I almost said specifically. Specifically.
That's a new word.
When I was a kid, I used to say Pacific. Be more Pacific. And my parents would be like, no, we'd rather be more Atlantic. I was like,
Nice.
Not bad. Not bad. That's like a double entendre.
Okay. All right. Let me. Here we are. While I'm looking for that,
Yes.
there we are. While I'm looking for that, as we know, the San Diego Comic-Con is coming up this weekend, and
Boo this
so Fallen Skies, of course, is going to have a panel. And let's see, it's going to be this Friday, and the people on this panel is basically just about all of the main stars. We got Noah Wiley, we got Moon Bloodgood, Will Patton, Drew Roy, Connor Jessup, Colin Cunningham, Sarah Carter, Doug Jones, and then producers Remy Abushan and Greg Beeman are going to be there. And then, wait for it, everybody, none other than Will Wheaton himself.
Ooh, beam me up.
Is, of course, we know is the host of the Second Watch. He's going to be the moderator. So hopefully we'll find out some cool things from that.
You know what? If you are a big Pope fan, like if you're a person that gets lost in characters, don't watch Colin Cunningham in any interview. Because he is nothing like Pope.
Right.
He doesn't even have the hair.
Really? So is that fake hair?
Yeah, that's fake hair, man.
Oh,
He's got like
I didn't realize that.
a buzz, like a Triple H buzz cut.
Nice.
The last time I
nice.
seen him on TV.
So
With a short haircut.
another cool thing they're doing at Comic-Con as well is I think it was the Madison or the Marriott hotels. If you're happen to be staying there, they're doing a really cool. I want to call it special effect, but that's kind of what it is. It's at the Marriott hotels in San Diego. I'm looking at a picture right now. It's on the elevator doors. It looks like skidders are ripping them open. It's kind of cool. Of course, not quite as cool as. I wonder if they're gonna. I haven't heard of any word if they're gonna do the harness thing again like they did last year.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
And
Even those harness T-shirts are cool.
I don't know. I thought the harness things, that the expression on the people's faces looked like they were getting a certain type of probe, and that's all I'm going to say, so I don't get bleeped out again.
You are the king of beeps.
All right. So, looking at the ratings, the ratings were only down slightly from the previous week. I think we're at a 3.3 the previous week.
Yeah, that's okay. That's what it was. So that's not
And
bad.
so it didn't really change. Or actually, last week we were at a 3.4, but if we rounded up, it'd be a 3.5.
Oh man, and I was like, man, wonder why that episode was so hot. Yeah,
And
but
you know what? I wonder if people went into it with high expectations and then kind of like, I'm gonna be disappointed again this week, so I'm not gonna watch it.
or
But
a lot of
if you didn't
vacations.
watch this episode, Pickett's Charge, this was the game changer episode.
Yes, agreed. Definitely.
And after this episode ended, my first response was to call you, but I know you, so I know you didn't watch it yet. I was like, oh my word.
I'm the person hurting the ratings. Oh, ouch, ouch. Sorry, TNT. DVR'd it and stuff, and I had to stay off Twitter because there were people tweeting at me that same night going, "That was awesome! Now we know who the mole is." And stuff. I was like, "No, I gotta turn it off." I had to stay away from all communications until the next morning.
So yes, the mole has been revealed, boys and girls, and I don't think I could have been happier as to this finally being over and done with.
Yes.
Well, kind of.
Yeah, kinda. Me too. It's a mixed bag for me too.
Because right now, the way the writing is that the fourth wall, which would be us, we know who the mole is, but nobody else does.
Nobody.
Which I think is cool if they play it up for an episode or two, and then, as we know, we have 3 more episodes left to go.
Yeah.
And I think I think they're just going to stretch it out until that final episode.
Definitely. I mean, they've taken us this far. They're definitely going to make this go through the whole season.
Right.
No reason not to. Well, shall we get into our review of the Pickett line?
All right, let's get to it.
So we start out with the Masons. They meeting some of the rebel leaders, or so they think. The Skitter. They were supposed to get some intel or something, or so they think. And then Tom confirms what we discussed last time about not really having an option to go back to Charleston. That was great for me. So early in the show, him bringing that up. We discussed this, for 10, 15 minutes last week?
Sure.
And I thought that was great that they acknowledged the obvious elephant in the room. Could you even go back? So I'm glad that was a debate and a discussion in the episode. That was a plus for me. What about you?
I don't know. I think that I think staying in Charleston for right now is the safe bet, simply because the Volm is stationed there, and if they're your alien allies to combat the fish heads, or whatever they're being called nowadays. I like that one better than their
than the Ishfini.
Ishfini.
What are we having for dinner? Ishfini.
We're having Ishfini heads. So anyway, that's where a lot of the people are congregated at, and this is,
that's got to be the central area. But I'm just saying, from a perspective of, boy, our viewers aren't idiots. They would question this. I thought that was cool that they at least brought it up and made it like a little bit of a concern. Like, I don't know if there's a place for us back there. I thought it was cool.
Well, I think it's been drawn out too long. And you know what? I don't know. My personal opinion, and this is what I think may happen. As we know, it's been renewed for a 4th season.
Yeah.
So I think what's possibly could happen is we could see the destruction of Charleston by the end of this season.
That would make sense. I mean, we don't know anything. This is just a theory, but that would make a lot of sense.
Then we have the second mass moving around again.
I like the show better when they moved around. I think we've had several people email about that, when they were kind of always having to uproot and keep going, trying to get to here, trying to get there. It was just more, it seemed more realistic and more action-packed, I guess.
Right.
All right, just then a skidder falls off the mountain, and Ben connects with that painted face.
The painted red.
Yep, painted red skidder before it dies. And that scene, I don't know. I don't know how I felt about that. I just thought it was weird that they didn't quite get the information they needed. Just, a second longer, and he could have given which way are they coming from and what's going on and all that stuff. You know what I mean? We could have got a little more information, but whatever. Who cares? So the enemy's coming, and it's the Mega Mech. Was it 2 Mega Mechs? I think it was a couple of Mega Mechs and some skidders.
I know there's a lot of skidders.
I think it was 2 Mega Mechs.
Okay, I want to say 1, but
and
I'm famous for paying attention to detail. Sarcasm, yeah.
Insert here.
Yeah.
And whatever that crap Hal was making Matt for breakfast looked disgusting. If that was oatmeal, I don't ever want oatmeal again.
I think that's exactly what it was.
Oh gosh, man, it was like all one clump, like boom. And then Matt ate a little bit of it. That's what really disturbed me. But Tom's like, "Hey, we gotta break camp. Come on, let's go."
But unfortunately, that breakfast was interrupted. Good save, Dad.
Yeah, thank you. Matt's like, "Thanks." Spit it out. All right, back in Charleston, Pope and Lyle talk about profits being up, but they need another community to trade with. Did that have any place in the episode? I know we have an email about this, a little bit about this later, but did that whole conversation, should that have been even in the show?
I'm not so sure this episode.
I just thought it was stupid. We know, man, it would be great if we had another. What about those guys over there, where the president's from? I was like, oh my gosh.
So my interpretation of this conversation is they've been raking in the dough, but they have really nothing to spend it on.
But what money? What money and what value does money even have? Who's backing this money?
There's some type of value within the Charleston community, though.
Who's backing it? What's it backed with?
Yeah.
Is it like our money in America where it's just being printed? Go into that empty vault and go, oh, wow, there is no gold in here.
You know what? We can compare them to the... if we can compare this to the Continental dollars and back during the American Revolution, a lot of people didn't want to accept Continental dollars because they weren't sure who was going to win the American Revolution. And so people still accepted pounds, but the main thing that people accepted back in those days were actual gold and silver coins, not paper money.
Yeah, just like today. You'll see me walking around with gold coins. So I thought that was an interesting exchange, but kind of unnecessary, I guess. But
I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to plant some seeds as...
Yeah, but I mean, I don't even want the show to go in that direction. I don't even care about that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? I want alien smashing and plot twists.
And probably even more character development for Pope, because we know what he's thinking. He's not... They're trying to paint Pope as a guy who's all for himself, but then he'll come back and redeem himself and do something heroic. I mean, that's the way he's been since the series started.
Yeah.
Wash, and he
rinse, and repeat.
Do some jerky thing, and then boom, he'll redeem himself by saving somebody. And
so we hear this loud bang, and Pope is getting towed. And I was like, that was just another... I understand why they included this specific storyline in here, but it was another thing that I could have just done without in this episode. And just then, that's when the medical evac is needed. But it's Cochise and the real president. So how was Lourdes already outside? That siren went off, and then she's outside within 2.2 seconds, coming from the interior medical facility. I just thought that was weird.
I think if I remember right, back when she was in high school, she was the gold medal winner of the 50-yard dash. So she's got experience at being quick.
Because to me, if you are a Maine doctor or something, you wouldn't be outside to meet them. You would have them brought to you inside the I don't know, whatever.
Almost as if she were expecting them.
Yeah. Or she had a little antenna that was like, "Hey, we smell, we smell Cochise coming." All right. The Masons, they were, on horseback trying to get out of that area, heading to wherever they're heading to, and then they get surrounded by masked men. Ben gets the jump on one of them, but they didn't look close enough because Matt has guns to his chest or belly, and they have to give up. They give up all their stuff, but Tom's like, we got to go after those guys and get our stuff back. And I was glad to finally see that kind of angry dad role that Tom played in this episode, where it's either us or you kind of mentality for much of the episode.
Yeah, but
not all the way. But
how intelligent was that they would go after these guys unarmed?
Not really.
I mean, granted, it's the Masons; they can do it, but anybody else, I'm not so sure. And this reminded me of the Walking Dead. This particular with the survivors of this post apocalyptic. I can't even say that word. Apocalyptic. Thank you very much.
Not a problem.
So this post-apocalyptic, I still can't say that. World is not so much humans versus the Walking Dead. It's humans versus humans.
Yes.
And I thought that was kind of cool.
I actually like that dynamic added to this show. I think it should even be a bigger part of the show.
So, yeah, I think they need to get the governor making some appearances on Falling Skies.
Oh, man.
With his eye patch and all.
The president comes to and instantly knows who Marina is. She used to work for a senator who knows the president.
And right then and there, I said, don't trust this girl. Don't even talk to her.
Yeah.
Because at this point, I'm in my heart, she's the mole. There's a lot of clues indicating that's what she is. She's the mole. And did you notice that, again, this is an episode in which probably about 4 different storylines were going on at one time again?
Yes, I did. Yes, it's kind of... and then that's why I said earlier that I wasn't too excited about Pope bringing yet another thing to the table. We're going to get into his exchange with Maggie. And what was the other one? There was some other little tiny subplot things going on too. I was just like, you know what? You can leave those for this episode, because we knew what we wanted, and then we knew that we had to follow the Masons too. That's
right.
That's pretty much all that should have happened.
Because we had the Masons, then we had there were about 3 or 4 different things going on in Charleston.
Yeah, and a lot of them centered around Pope and Weaver.
And
smaller ones.
Exactly. And so I was thinking that, you know what, maybe they're doing this because it is only a 10 season or a 10 season. Hopefully we won't go that long. It's a 10 episode season.
So we found out that Cochise saved the president, and then Marina pretty much gets him to admit that he lied about the power of the weapon. and she thinks that he should come completely clean. But he's like, no, because you still have problems. The Espheni are not stupid. They're going to have more than one person or more than one plan to get information from here. And the
Right,
press,
because she was stating that we got the mole because they
yeah,
assume it was Hal.
yeah, they were thinking it's just one person. And
Right.
I thought that was awesome that the president was like, no, you know, there was no need for us to give too much away, because I agree with Cochise. I love that he did that. But then he made me suspicious because he goes, I want to see the weapon with my own eyes. And I was like, oh no, is something up with the president? That's what I was thinking right at that moment.
Oh, okay.
That didn't cross your mind at all?
No, it
Okay.
didn't. I mean, I guess if it, you know what, and with everything going on, it should have crossed my mind, but it didn't.
I mean,
I don't. I think it was because it's Commander Decker from Star Trek. Come on,
you
can't trust him. Who can you trust?
You just don't want to believe it. Oh my
No,
goodness.
I assume that the president, as we know, the president of the United States. I kind of saw him as being the true good, pure character.
I will, if you remind me, I will save for the spoiler zone. I will save why I thought he could have been up to something.
Okay.
But it ties into spoiler stuff, so
Okay.
preview stuff for next week. The robbers come in with their spoils as the Masons are walking towards their camp. Hal and Ben had a good conversation, and we find out that Hal wouldn't let Maggie come with them. Because I was wondering about that. I was like, why is she not going with them? It just seemed like she would have to go with them. But I'm glad she didn't, because I love just the Mason family
Yeah.
doing this together. I love that. I think it's really cool. But I just was curious about that, and I'm glad they kind of answered that. It was just a small thing. I'm glad they kind of answered that. So the Masons, they grab that girl that was sent to go get water for the horses. They grab her, and then Ben gets the two guys that were by the guns. And Hal's trying to take that guy out that has that very, very big knife. And then we see Tom whacking the leader, Mr. Pickett, with an axe handle. But Hal's getting overtaken by that guy with the big knife, and then Matt shoots him. Oh my goodness! And then
everyone's freaking out and looking at Matt. What did you just do?
I love when that guy, because when you get shot,
he had to do.
I love when that guy looked at him after he got shot. What did you do that for? Are you kidding me? You had a knife to my brother. You had a gigantic knife. What were you gonna do?
Okay, folks, let's look at law enforcement. If this were going on,
Yep.
and if you ever pulled a weapon out on a police officer, the first option for the police officer to do was maybe to tell you to put it down once. But if you don't comply, they're gonna bust a cap in your butt.
Yeah. This is one shooting I will say was justified.
Yeah.
Back in Charleston, we find out that they have vehicles breaking down left and right, and
here's another storyline. See, that they're just all coming up with all kinds of stuff.
So they think it's Pope, and Weaver's like, he goes after Pope, but Pope's like, hey, I'm making a stand, and the way he just kind of openly admitted, like, hey, I'm just making a stand, dude. and why did he say, I guess not right this second, but I'm gonna still bring it up anyway. But Pope reveals that he thinks that Tom is not coming back, and he's like, he's the smartest one of us all, because he knows this is a sinking ship. And when he says later something about if Tom Mason was here, what are they trying to do with his character?
You know what, Tom Mason, the character itself, is a very, very well respected character, especially with the second mass.
But what happened to Next Basket Wins and you're just out for yourself, and what happened to all that? Oh, Tom gets to get away with this, that, and the other, and then it's like, I don't know. I'm just expecting Pope to go one way or the other way, and not be in the middle all the time.
Yeah, because what was it, the previous episode in which they were having bets on Hal?
Yes.
And then they all got kind of upset. They kind of knew in the back of their mind that Hal was going to get off scot-free, and Pope was upset about that too.
Yeah, but I'm just like, make up your mind. Do you like the Mason guy, or do you not like him?
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes it's just the way they write that character just seems sporadic, if that makes any sense. Because one minute he don't want them around, the next minute he wants Tom around.
There's no consistency, I think, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah,
and that's true.
It's just weird. I just find it to be strange. All right, the Masons and the thieves are working together now to save the man that Matt shot.
But they're all tied up mostly.
Pretty much, yeah. They just have the one dude, I think, untied. Go get some water and some towels. Okay, all right. Don't move or I'll shoot you. Which is it? Tom has to deal with the leader, Mr. Pickett. And as he whines about being taken hostage in his own home, man, that was great. You want to rob somebody at gunpoint on the road, but then when they come back to your house to get their stuff, you're like, oh, man, this is so wrong, man. You're taking me hostage in my own home. I was like, dude, are you serious? Get out of here.
This whole family reminded me of, I don't know if you remember, about 15 years ago in Michigan, we had a civilian, very few civilians, they got together and armed themselves because they didn't quite trust the government, and they called themselves the Michigan Militia.
Mm-hmm.
This is what that kind of reminded me of, the mentality behind it, because most of them were backwoods people, farmers and stuff, and they kind of rubbed you the wrong way, because I did meet some of these folks, and they just kind of seem off by a little bit, and that's kind of what the Pickett seemed off to me for some reason.
Yeah, Mello was invited to one of their meetings. Mello Betts from the network. He was invited to one of their meetings, and he told me it was very, how shall we say, interesting content that they had to share. He was like,
I remember it was kind of a scary time, because I mean, this was different areas around our state saying, rise up against the government. Yeah. It's like, what? You know what? At the time, the economy was doing great, and we didn't have this crappy recession that we've been having the last 10 years or so, and everything was great. And then all of a sudden, these guys got in here. Oh, don't trust your government and rise up against the government.
But trust me. And that's the kind of the point we're trying to make. Is
exactly.
They have on one side they're like, hey, trust us, but on the other hand they're like, hey, don't trust the government. It's like, well, okay, wait a minute. You're made up of a group of people as well. What are you, all good or all bad? And neither is the government. Pope leads a rebellion, and Weaver shows up with Anthony as his muscle, I guess, at Pope's bar. And Weaver arrests Pope for civil disobedience. And then Weaver tells the masses that they will get back to work on the Vome project. That was a good scene there, because once again, there are 50 plus armed people in there that act like 2-year-olds when Weaver comes in.
Well, it's funny because as soon as Weaver comes in, it's like, oh,
we're scared now.
Yeah, there's a big hush. It's kind of like the previous episode when they're taking bets on Hal. The same thing happened. And so Dan Weaver walks in there, and all of a sudden, there's a big hush, and
I'm scared.
And so he says, okay, everyone get back to work. Okay.
They just do it.
By the way, I'm arresting you for public disobedience. Okay.
Pope was just like, okay, this is bull, but I'm going.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was, yeah.
What? All right. Tom and the Pickett leader continue to talk about the aliens and such. So we get a little insight on the Pickett family and find out that they've just been hiding up in those hills from the aliens because the aliens just don't come to this area. And I was like, what a naive outlook.
And neither does cable television.
Ooh, nothing. Or running water from the looks of it. We find out that Uncle Gil is dying. So Matt is a killer. You're not a murderer, but you are a killer. All right, the Mr. Pickett promises he won't try anything if they let him see his brother before he dies. Who on earth fell for this? No one? Please, no one raise your hand, because I
Tom did.
Yeah, but I'm like, I can understand why Tom did because it's on the script. But everybody else, all of us, we had to have known better. So Uncle Gil gives him the motion, like the whole high eyebrow, like, "Here's the gun, get the gun and kill him," and stuff. And then, so he pulls a gun out, Mr. Pickett does, and it's time to take over again. So the Masons are gonna get lined up against the wall and get shot, pretty much in the back. It looks like at this point. And then after they talk again, the Masons get their gun.
Yeah, you know what? It's like back and forth, back and forth,
It's
back
stupid.
and forth. This is like worse than a professional wrestling match.
Yes, it was so. I mean, at some point, if I get the guns back again, I'm just shooting you instantly, because I'm just like, I'm not gonna. We've already lost our guns 3 times. I'm not gonna lose them again. Come on.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious. You deserve to get shot. That's why the aliens leave them alone, probably. All right, let's go back to the president. Marina, Weaver, and Cochise, they go to look at the weapon. The Vom weapon. Dun, dun, dun. That is a huge CG area. I wonder how they pull that off. Gotta talk to Mr. Spielberg on that one.
That's right. One thing I thought was pretty cool was they actually brought Marina in there, and I'm like screaming at the TV, "No, don't bring her in there!
Don't show her." She's gonna pull open her jacket and have a roll of C4. You thought, or something?
Or something. She's gonna take them all out.
That'd have been actually a cool reveal,
She's
right?
gonna have that
then and there.
that energy weapon and just or
Set
pew
your-
pew guns, as my daughter calls them.
Yeah, set your phasers to stun. All right, so they're looking at that. Now we find out that the Esphini can withstand radiation. And then if this goes wrong, that Vom weapon, by getting into the Esphini grid, that could cause a radiation problem on Earth, and it would kill all the humans. But fortunately for the Esphini, they'd be fine because they've engineered themselves to be okay with radiation.
Right. Within what, days?
Yeah, the whole
all life
Earth.
on Earth as we know it would cease to exist because of this radiation.
So I guess it's not a terraforming machine like I was hoping it was going to be. But
So now I think the big question is, do they use the weapon or not?
it just sounds too risky to me.
Yeah, exactly.
I
That's
mean,
what I think.
The benefit. What is it? I would want to know, what are the odds that it's going to work, A, without causing this radiation catastrophe? And then B, do we have a better chance of just fighting them straight up anyway? You know what I mean?
I mean, come on. These
I don't know.
big, huge towers that the second mass has single-handedly destroyed themselves. They generate this net into our atmosphere. Come on, you think with Dan's experience, they could find some more and take some more out.
Yeah, and I guess they're just trying to get those Vom ships that are. Why weren't the Vom ships here to begin with? Why were they behind these?
And you know what? Another question is, where are the Vom? You know what? We haven't hardly seen any Vom at all this whole entire season. we have the one appearance of Cochise in this episode.
Yeah.
But then you don't see. He's the only Volm that you see.
Yeah.
Where
You see those same two guys CG'd in front of the weapon every week when they show the weapon. Those same exact two Cochise clones that are standing.
Right. And in my understanding, from the end of the second season, when the Volm actually landed, there was more. There were quite a few of them.
Mm-hmm.
What happened?
I think budgets happened, and they don't want to. They don't want to do makeup for like 40 Volm characters every week. I think that's what happened. I think. Okay, so here's where it gets interesting, because after we get through all that stuff, Weaver goes immediately to see Pope in his cell, and Weaver says he needs Pope's help. Weaver thinks that Pope can help him stop the Volm weapon. Ooh, I was like, oh, strange bedfellows this situation is making, because Weaver just has no confidence that this plan is going to work. And when they say could eradicate everybody on the planet, I'm sure that's when his ears perked up. So Pope is back in business. He's let go. And that's when Pope and Maggie had their little heated exchange. Did you have any thoughts on that being any kind of foreshadowing? How Pope was like, "You're gonna need me at some point," or whatever.
No, after this little exchange between Pope and Dan Weaver, I think what we're going to see is that gradual return where the second mass are going to say, "Hey, I think we're going to pull out."
Yeah,
and I think they're going to there's going to be a revolution within the new U.S. government with the second mass taking out this Volm machine because they think it's too risky.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. They could leave us on that at the end of the season. I think that'd be a cool little deal.
I was really shocked that this exchange between Maggie and Pope wasn't more emotional, because as we know, Maggie, I'm still unclear to me if Pope's group captured her or kidnapped her or just took her in, but they repeatedly raped her.
Yeah,
I mean, come on, to me there would be more. I know some things were said, but I guess I was expecting more.
I agree with you 100% on that. That should have been a more charged up exchange.
And it's like she's been fighting along with Pope,
mm-hmm.
and it's like, why? I don't understand it. And then Pope kind of revealed it was the guys that did it, wasn't me.
Yeah, he was like, well, if you would have told me, I would have done something about it. Like, you wouldn't have known about this? Come on. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just sounds far-fetched and stupid. Oh, and here's where it gets interesting. Lourdes goes to see the president in order to change his IV. He asks the question we all wanted to know. Just how long have you been a doctor? I was like, thank you. That's question number 2 this episode. Answered that I wanted to know. And it all started to make sense after the scene, because Lourdes leaves the room. At first I'm thinking she's going to poison him, but no.
Yeah, because she keeps on looking at that IV, so she looks suspicious to begin with.
Definitely. Like, yeah, drink up. And then she goes into a room downstairs. She looked like a kid when she was marking off her steps.
Yeah,
the way she was like wobbling.
Doing?
She was wobbling like back and forth like a little kid, man. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, this is an awkward moment here. And then she marks off where the president is. She gets her gun out and lays down on a gurney. And she's got that Volm weapon, or whatever weapon. I shouldn't just assume it's Volm, I guess. And then she just blows a hole through the floor. And I jumped up and said, James for the win. James from Melbourne. You are a winner. You got it right. It
And
was
that was the
Lourdes.
holy crap moment of the whole entire season, I think,
Yes.
because that threw everybody for a loop. And for once this whole season, I stood up and I applauded. Well done.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. But here's my thing. I guess if she put something in the IV too obvious, you know it's her. But to go downstairs and to blow a freaking basketball size hole through the floor and blow him away in that manner, boy, that had some shock effect to it, I'll tell you that much. Like some episodes of Game of Thrones had that little jar moment like that, but
Right.
not the most practical way to assassinate a president on that, on a TV
Well, I
show.
thought it was quite creative myself. Um, I mean, she had it all
She had
figured
it
out
mapped
and
out,
calculated, and
perfectly mapped out. Oh, that
and
was
it's
awesome.
and it was like, wow. Yeah. See, the person I thought it was, I guess she, and it was funny because right after it was revealed that it was Lourdes, I I had a change of heart for Marina. I said, "Oh,
Oh
I guess she's
no.
good after all."
Oh my goodness. You're like, she's okay after all. But I don't even think we're done yet. I don't think we're 100%. I think that was the mole. I'm sure that was the mole. But I think there's got to even be a deeper thing going on here somehow. We'll
Ooh.
see. I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. So we see Lourdes praying, and then she's got just dozens of those nasty little things all over her face. Those
They're
little,
just swimming all
oh,
through her face. Oh, that's yeah.
that was gross. That was creepy, man. Because it's just like it just reminds me of just like real parasites.
Yeah,
You're just like, ugh, nasty.
exactly. And it's like you don't want that stuff on your.
No.
In
And
your
why was she praying though? If she's been overtaken by those things, why is she in there praying?
You
Is
know what? To me, I
part of her
didn't quite
still
understand this part.
is part of her still in there fighting and
There must be part of it. It seemed like she had a look of extreme bliss on her face when this was going along. And no, I'm not talking about the bliss that used to be in V, but
everybody
um,
just stand here.
but she was just like this look of content on her face while she was praying, with these things moving around her face, and it's like, to me, that was disturbing, and I don't know. I'm sure it was on purpose
Oh
to
yeah.
have some type of more of a shock value out of it, that the mole was indeed Lourdes.
Oh,
But uh, one thing that I agree that the writers did this season was to do that. That was great.
which explains her newfound surgical intellect and everything. You know what I mean? It explains a lot of things.
Yeah. Another thing too. This I said this before, and I'll say it again. When they were first in Charleston, there were quite a few doctors. Now, why all of a sudden is Lourdes the only one?
Yes, that's pretty stupid, but hey, it played to the storyline very well, didn't it?
It did.
All right, so here's where things get dicey again, because Weaver's like, "Hey, we should call and let the president's men know what happened here." And Marina's like, "No, I don't want them in here snooping around, and causing problems while we already have all this other stuff going on." I think that's a bad decision. I think that's going to come back to bite her, because because they're going to want to know, like, when did this take place?
Yeah, and
2
who
weeks
doesn't
ago.
want to see Colonel Saul Ty get in there and bust some heads?
Fracking right. So I thought that was crazy. Now, here's another. I'm going to pick this one apart, too. The Masons are back on horses, but just damn, we see mega mechs are inbound, heading towards the Picketts. Oh, no, no, no. So the Masons debate going back to help, and Tom says he's going to go, and he sends Matt, Ben, and Hal ahead. So he races to save the Picketts. He gets back there instantly. But here's the thing. Here's what doesn't make sense to me. You see those Mega Mechs and Skitters going. You see the proximity they are to the Picketts. You know that's where they're going. How they're going there, who knows? Or why they're going to that specific spot that they've never been before, allegedly. Who knows? Right. But you go back there. You go through the house. You can see that the house is disheveled and people left in a hurry. But instead of just getting back on your horse and taking off, you belabor it and walk around the house longer when you knew you only had a brief amount of time to get in, get out. Get in, warn them. Either get in there, warn them, hunker down, or get in and grab them and get the heck out of there.
Right.
And then he comes outside, or he hears his horse running away. And then he comes outside, and it's a Mega Mech bearing down on him at the close of the show. And I'm like, that just makes him look stupid to me. Because you had all the factors in play. You knew that where they were going. You knew roughly, you could guess how much time you had and how much time it would take you to get there. It just made him look stupid to me.
Well, I guess that I agree. But Tom Mason didn't want that on his conscience. He didn't want that these mechs were going to get him and him not helping them.
Well, when you got back there, you could have gone, hello, like he did. Oh, nobody's here? I'm out. They must have ran for it. Peace out. I tried. I don't know. I just thought it made him look stupid because you're going to fight all those dudes by yourself. Not going to happen. So, Alex, what did you rate this episode?
I rated this episode an 8.
Okay. I absolutely loved this episode. I gave it a 9 out of 10. I loved it. Okay. I did not care for some of the departures.
To me, this was by far the best episode of the season.
Yeah, easily. I loved it.
Because right now we're in a state in which there is going to be no return.
No.
To the way things used to be.
No.
And I like how we, the people, know. Oh, now I sound like what's this?
We, the people, of professional wrestling.
So we, the audience, we know who the mole is, but nobody else does.
Oh man!
And so as I stated earlier in this episode, I think they're going to milk that for all it's worth and hang on to it till at least the final episode. And we do have 3 episodes left in the season.
I think that's gonna be cool. Oh, so okay, and an 8 for Alex and a 9 for me. I love this episode. I didn't like some of the little departure stuff, that didn't really have a place in this episode. I picked apart some things that just didn't bother me enough to drop the score down. I loved this episode, and I loved how deep you went into like history and stuff. We got an email about that. It was just brief, and how we were just like so wrong about this episode from top to bottom. I thought it was funny and great all at once. Shall we get into feedback, or shall we hand out the Stupid Mike Award?
Let's hand out the Stupid Mike Award first, and then we'll get into the feedback.
Are we sticking? Are we sticking with our votes for who we think deserves the Stupid Mike Award?
Okay, this episode I had multiple choices where like last one was like there's only one choice,
Yes.
And I know where you're going to go with this, but my first choice was the entire Pickett family for being stupid enough to think that they can take on the Masons.
Yes, I like that.
And then the end of the episode, it's like, all right, Tom gets it hands down once more for going off on his own, leaving his kids alone, and getting himself captured.
Pretty much. He's just reigning champion. It's just so hard to unseat him.
So why ruin a good thing?
Why ruin it? I was gonna give it to us, in fact, for our
us being wrong as to who we think the mole is.
Just terrible theories all around.
I thought about that
I thought about that after the episode aired. I said, I think we're going to win the stupid Mike Award this week.
You know, I was sitting on the couch going, you know what? I think John is the awesome gentleman in our spoiler zone last week that had, I mean, his logic and everything made so much sense that I was all in. And I'm like, I was sitting on the couch and I go, I bet you John works for TNT. I bet you there is no John. I bet you he works for TNT. Oh man!
Now I thought his theory was interesting.
It was awesome.
But I was sticking to mine.
Okay, I loved his theory. There was so many people that bought into that, me included. We were all like, "Yeah, that's it. That's gonna be it." No, oh, that's awesome. So who are we going with? Are we going with Tom?
Yeah, let's not let a good thing go to waste.
Okay. Tom Mason, please step forward. For your vast stupidity and your poor time management, you are awarded the Stupid Mike Memorial Award. Thank you. All right, so he got that.
Hey, I got one question.
Yeah.
What happened to the uncle? Did the uncle die? Or was he just faking it?
He looked like he was dead. I thought I saw a foot dangling out of the bed.
Okay.
When they scrolled through the room, it looked like a foot was just laying there. Like, oh, he's clearly dead.
I guess I have to
rewatch
that part.
All right. Hey, do what you got to do. You want to get into feedback?
Yeah.
All right. Here's a short one. Introducing the tiny aliens that take control of people really ruined this show for me. It's just like introducing magic or immortality to a show because now I have more questions than answers. If it's so easy to get taken over by those things, why wouldn't a far superior alien race seed the entire planet with those things, a la Revolution style? Oops. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Insert there in editing. Revolution style, and then subjugate the masses. Makes zero sense to me, Rebecca. You know what? That does kind of make you wonder, why wouldn't they just overwhelm you with those little tiny things that could get in you?
You know, one thing that we haven't seen this season yet are those creepy spider-like.
I don't want to see them.
Alien mech thingies. Ugh.
I don't want to see those. But what would be a reason why a writer could say, no, they only can go in specific people? Is there any reason that they could only go to specific people?
I
don't know. I agree with her.
I don't think it's specific people. I think it's whoever they want to insert them into.
But I get what she's saying, though, saying that wouldn't it just be logical for somebody to think that, hey, if Lourdes has got 20 of these in her face, go get 19 other people.
Oh, okay.
And cause an infestation, like a virus spreading.
Right.
Or something. I don't know. I agree with her. That's pretty cool. All right, let's move on. This is from Rick from Wisconsin. Well, I was on vacation and just caught up on the show and last week's podcast. I have to say I have liked these 2 episodes. I agreed with Alex's red herring. I was surprised to see who the mole really was, but also see that it makes sense. She was exposed to the alien things that get inside you, although I guess they could pass from one person to another. My wife says she infected the baby. Ooh, which totally makes sense.
I think one thing with me that I thought is that with Lourdes being exposed as the mole, it makes so much more sense now with the baby.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I think what happened is she exposed the baby to it.
Yeah, good one. And that would also account for all the tests and stuff. I chuckled at your guess about this week's title. As it turned out, it was more like a Union picket line. Only a week ago, my wife and I were standing at Gettysburg where an ancestor of hers helped fight Pickett's charge. It was a cool moment. My wife is afraid that they are going to kill Tom, but I think that is unlikely since we know they have another season. Speaking of which, how can the Volm weapon end the invasion and have the show continue? Guess we're not supposed to ask that question. I love seeing Christopher Haderall. Is that how you say his name? Haderall?
Yeah.
I think it's Hayerdahl.
Say tomato, I say tomato.
Even if it's just for an episode. Thanks for doing such a fun podcast. That's Rick from Wisconsin. I did not even recognize Christopher Hayerdahl in this until I read this email, and I went back and I go, oh my gosh, that's him.
Now what's he in again?
He's been in a lot of different stuff, mostly like stuff where you're like dressed up like a character. Let me look at the one
Okay. And Rick, I am completely jealous that you were at Gettysburg.
There he is.
One of my favorite places in the world to visit. That's one of them. And Gettysburg just celebrated their 150th, I guess, anniversary. We could call it since the battle took place. The battle took place on July 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of 1863. And so a colleague of mine that I teach with was actually out there, and I couldn't imagine how crowded it was with all those people there during that time.
Oh my gosh. Sanctuary. Remember him from Sanctuary?
I never watched Sanctuary.
Okay, I did. I'm raising my hand begrudgingly. Twilight Saga. That's where he had I think he had a long wig on in that one.
Okay.
And I just didn't even he has such a pronounced nose and like facial line. I don't know how I didn't recognize him. I was just like, oh yeah, that is him. He really looked like an old dude to me in that movie. He looked like a real old man to me in this show.
It's really funny because they get really good character actors.
Yeah, they do.
And just totally change their appearance and can't even recognize them.
Man, wow. That is so creepy. Yeah, I was like, huh? I went back and looked. I was like, oh, that is him. So, yeah. So, yeah, we were dead wrong with the picket line deal.
The only similarity I had to the Pickett's charge was that the last name.
Yeah, that was it. And I think they did that on. I know they did that on purpose. They had to have done that on purpose.
Well, they seems like they like to tie in
history.
Tie it in with American history, and this was an exact case which it really having little to do with.
And the Volm weapon is going to be destroyed probably. I would, like Alex was guessing and we're guessing. So I think that's how the show is going to get to continue. But Rick, we thank you so much for listening, number one, and number two, always participating in feedback. Oh, now it's up to James. Hey, Hank and Alex, I'm very excited about this week's show. Almost as excited as I am about the Shield podcast. Yes.
All right. Thanks, James.
So those of you who don't know, Alex and I will be doing an Agents of Shield fan podcast. He says, I hope we get some geeks to join in and flip out about how the TV show isn't canon. And so let me do a little brief departure. This is the kind of crowd we're probably going to get for that show. Alex and Hank, in episode 4, when the Masked Avenger shows up, his costume should actually have red and white frills on the cape, and not maroon and white. Just thought I would correct that. That's the kind of people we think we're gonna get.
Hey, that's okay because I'm actually one of those people too.
The man that boycotted Batman. All right. So what happened this week on Falling Skies? Well, we found out Pope is truly a Renaissance man, thinking about trade during war. OMG, it's Todd the Wraith from Stargate Atlantis. Falling Skies is the retirement village for all science fiction shows. It would be cool if we got some old school V actors. I wonder what Mark Singer is up to. Oh, don't give them any idea, just James.
He's going to be the vice president now, which makes him now the president.
Don't give them any ideas. It's interesting that the opening of the show, they talk about how Tom, his daughter, and wife are outsiders now, and that they have no place in their community anymore. It's an interesting idea. I hope that it leads to a dramatic story arc based on characters. I love the "you gotta fight" speech. Infection and blood poisoning don't really care about the you gotta fight speech. Yeah, I think
gotta fight.
I think death doesn't really give a rip about speeches. How many times are the guns going to change hands? They get passed around like a Kardashian. Oh my goodness, he goes into a little bit of that, which I will tastefully take off. I will make an executive decision to not include. Shenanigans, riling up the civilians. Is Captain Weaver from the Old West or what? He has a language all his own, doesn't he?
I call shenanigans.
Hey, you better not be up to those shenanigans, Pope. Oh, great. The compulsory Lourdes scene. Bet there's poison in the IV drip or something. Told you she was the traitor. Yes, you were correct. So where did she go wrong? Okay, she was the last person to speak to the president. She used a hand cannon to kill someone on a hospital bed. There's heaps easier ways: staph infection, faulty equipment, etc. She has the most unconvincing reaction to being informed of the president being shot. She's a loner with no connections to the community. Lourdes Harvey Oswald.
Nice.
Oh my goodness. Somebody should do a YouTube mashup of that and have a second shooter. All right. Well, that's all for this week. Only 3 episodes to go to the end of the season. I don't know what we're going to watch in the meantime. Probably Under the Dome. Eek! Thank you guys so much for this. For the show thank you guys so much. The show is awesome. Man, I'm tired. James from Melbourne. Awesome. Thanks, James. You are hilarious, man. But if you want to listen to Under the Dome radio podcast, you got to check out Wayne Henderson and Troy. They do a fantastic podcast, and you'll.
Oh yeah, I love it.
And if you're anything like me, you'll be a little shocked when you hear your own voice on their podcast sometimes.
Yeah.
So last week they were nice enough to play a promo. I'm sitting there listening away, and then they play a promo for our Shield podcast, and I'm like, "That's my voice." I'm like, "What the heck?" I'm on their show. Oh, nice. So and I didn't even call in this week, but they do an awesome Under the Dome podcast, and you guys got to check it out. Under the Dome Radio. All right, so that's it for there's one other email, but it's in the spoiler zone. Alex, are you ready to go to the spoiler zone?
All right, let's head right into it.
And my sound effects machine is out of batteries, so I'm waving at the YouTube viewers right now. This means there's a spoiler. This means there's a spoiler alert, not necessarily a spoiler. Okay, this is from Heather. I really thought that the preview at the end... Oh, we'll say goodbye to everybody. Let's say it.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody that's not listening to the spoiler section. We love you. Check out Under the Dome Radio and check out Shield Fan Podcast. All right. I really thought that the preview at the end of the episode was ridiculous and stupid. Ooh, 2 for 1. If Tom's character from season 3 ends up being an alien clone, I don't know what I'll do. Spoiler alert, spoiler alert. Anyone watch Battlestar Galactica? So if you don't want to be spoiled about Battlestar Galactica, don't listen for the next 10 seconds.
Be talking about the Cylons.
Or even the old V series where underneath the fake human appearance, the person or people are someone else entirely. I feel like season 3 of Falling Skies is hiding under alien skin because I don't even recognize this show anymore.
Oh, wow.
Oh, sweet mama.
Nice.
Oh, sweet mama. That's Heather. So, oh my goodness. So she's referring to the end of when they showed the preview. Did you watch the preview for Falling Skies for next week?
I did.
Okay. So did you get the impression that the Tom that we've been following this season may or may not be the real Tom?
No, I didn't get that at all.
Okay. Because I see where she's going.
One thing that I did get was that the Ishfani, or whatever the hell you want to call them,
Ishfini sandwich.
Ishfinis, they go ahead and launch their dome device. So Wayne Henderson, make sure you're on top of that. They go ahead and launch that, and then we see a flashback of what I assume is Tom's wife. And I think maybe that's what they're referring to, because we see clean-shaven Noah Wyle.
Yes, he looks totally different.
And I think next episode we are going to see a flashback a la Revolution. So
okay. So maybe she misinterpreted, just kind of ran with what she was seeing and thinking, like, you know how he was peeling something away from his face?
Right.
I could see where she was saying that, because I started to go.
Okay.
After I read this, I was like, "Oh crap! Oh, they've been cloning a bunch of Toms or something." You know, that's what I started to think. I was like, "Man, that would be stupid." But hopefully,
anything's possible.
Yeah, hopefully they don't go that route though.
Yeah.
Do you have any theories or spoiler stuff for this episode or next?
No, I don't. Other than what I kind of described in the previous episode of the main episode of where I think they could be going with this.
Yeah. You think there's anybody else that's gonna pop up out of this whole ordeal after Lourdes is found out?
I don't know. Maybe Lourdes. You got me thinking. I think Lourdes may not be the only one.
I don't think she's by herself, man. I really just don't.
And you know what? I'm going to stick to my guns to say that Marina somehow is going to somehow be tied to all of this.
Okay. I hope you're right.
My gut instinct.
Because I think one thing I kind of glossed over, I think I actually even skipped over, didn't even mention, was that scene where, was it Pope and Weaver, where Pope was like, look who's had so much to gain throughout all of this.
Right.
You know, people are dropping like flies, and she just happened to move right up the rung over this series of events. And I was like, whoa, I don't think we can count her character out still. Because she might have her own power play going.
It very well could be.
Yeah, because this could be the best way. To me, the only thing that like this show has missed the mark on is the more subtle ways to control people. You know? Like,
right.
if you're so high intellect alien, we're above and beyond your understanding and all that stuff. Seems like you would use less destructive ways to bring people to their knees, you know? And that's one way you would do it is through politics. Get your people in there, get your moles in there, and overrun the politics and just basically turn them into kittens.
Yep.
Anything else, Alex?
No.
All right. Folks, we're going to leave it right there. And we hope you enjoyed this edition of the Falling Skies Fan Podcast. Be sure to tune in every week on tpenetwork.com, YouTube, iTunes, Zoom, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, and anywhere else fine podcasts are served. For Alex Cruz, I'm Hank Davis. Until next time, my friends, we are signing off.
See ya.